Hi, everybody. It's Kevin and Andrew have a podcast. Week 5. Week 5. That's right. We're here. Kevin O'Neill, myself, and Mr. Andrew, what's your last name? CARAVELLA? I'm just kidding.
There it is. Yeah. Right?
You change your name I've known you for how long now? A couple of years, and you change your name every few months.
You know, it's funny because if I go back into radio, like mainstream radio, I'm thinking of actually changing up my stage name again because I really do think the LA market is needing me. I really do.
You think the LA market needs you, huh?
Yeah, check it out. Andrew J. Midday. What up, LA? See, all the A's, it just rhymes. It could be real slick in radio. There are no Andrew J's. It sounds sexy and mysterious.
Yeah. You should be Andrew CARAVELLA, man.
I look like an Andrew J. My middle initial is J.
Well, that's fine. But here's the thing. I hate people that use fake names. I mean, I use a fake name, obviously, myself, but I'm saying...
Wow.
What I'm saying, basically, in a nutshell, is that here's what I mean. Like Cher. Cher was an original. She used Cher, and that was it. She didn't go by Cher Bono or whatever. She was just Cher. And Madonna. And I hear DJs all the time. I had that. This is Alexis on 92.7 or what. I just don't like that. I like, use your whole name.
But I just feel like Andrew J is more marketable, more commercialized.
Yeah, CARAVELLA is a great name. I'm sorry, it's a great name.
It's fun to do on tags, when I'm reporting news, in San Antonio for such and such news, I'm Andrew CARAVELLA.
I know.
That's cool.
It's a good name. It's like Kevin O'Neill. Kevin O'Neill. There's a lot of Kevin. There's a lot of Kevin O'Neills out there. There really are. There are a lot of Kevin O'Neills out there. I get that. There's a Keith O'Neill. There's a, Ryan O'Neill, of course, the star. But Kevin O'Neill is rolls off the tongue pretty easy. It's not too, and I've had it. It's not my real name. I don't mind telling you it's not my real name. But my real name was so difficult to say to a lot of people, and everybody always got it wrong. So
the question is, where did Kevin O'Neill come from? What was the inspiration?
Well,
I started just put a bunch of names in a hat.
Right. I started as a disc jockey in 1975 in Clovis, New Mexico, and I started as Chris Monroe, actually. I was a Chris Monroe.
Chris Monroe!
I was CHR. I did a combination of my real last name and then my mom's maiden name.
That's not bad, though. Chris Monroe. It sounds like something.
And you've heard of Chrysless Records or Chrysless Records? Have you heard of that?
No. There
was a label back in the 70s and 80s called Chrysless Records or Chrysalis Records, which is a butterfly cocoon. Blondie was on that label. Pat Benatar was on that label. There's a lot of artists on that label, and I liked how they spelled Chrysalis or Chrysalis, Chrysalis. And I thought that. So I said Chris with a Y. Okay, and then I took my last name, a few letters in my last name, and then I took my mom's maiden name and came up with Monroe, so it was Chris Monroe. But in 1980, I went to a new radio station, and the program director's name was Joe Frank Wheeler. I'll never forget this guy. He was very hot-tempered. He slammed the door one time, so he was so mad at somebody, he slammed the door, and the on the air light above the door went and broke on the ground. He was that. A lot of hotheads sometimes in radio.
Oh man!
And he's like,
when I first got started in acting, when I was a wee lad, I actually had the opportunity to change my stage name from my real name to something else, and I almost became professionally known as Andrew Fox.
Well, that wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, so this guy Joe Frank Wheeler said he didn't like my name. I don't like Chris Monroe. It reminds me of Charlie's Angels, because at that time, Charlie's Angels was on the air, the television show.
Oh, yeah.
And there was Cheryl Ladd, who came in as Chris Monroe. So he said, you need to change the name. So I said, okay. So he took a book of 100,000 names or something like that, and he threw it on the desk at me, just boom, on the desk. Choose a name. And I go, man, there's a lot of names here. I don't know what he goes, just go through it, and you just open the book up and go boom and put your finger on it, and that'll be your new name. And I go, okay. So we opened the book in the middle, and I went, and the name Keith O'Neill came up.
Keith O'Neill.
And I hated it. I said, I don't like that. It just Keith O'Neill. It's okay. It's just okay. And the next name was Kevin O'Neill, so we went with that, and we spelled it Oneal. That's how it's spelled. And I've had that name since 1980.
Wow.
Since 1980, I've had that name. And I've worked in clubs. I've worked, in radio. I've worked in bands. And I always have gone by Kevin O'Neill. I've never gone by my real name. And, it kind of works for me because, a lot of paperwork and everything gets signed in my real name, and people don't really know my real name. They wouldn't know how to spell it to begin with in the first place. So so I'm pretty happy that, it came out to be, it's done me good. I've made a lot of money with that name. And people,
I feel like Andrew J could make more money than Andrew Caravella.
I don't know. Andrew Caravella is just such it's unique. It's different. It's cool. It's a great name, and I like it. I think it should be Andrew Caravella in the morning. I don't know.
Andrew Fox or Andrew J today.
But Fox is so Fox
like
is
if
so.
If I
cliche.
fail in life, I could literally just go straight into porn with a name like that.
I just spilled tea in my glasses. How nice was that? I can't believe I did that.
No, but seriously, I could have joined the adult film world with a name like Andrew Fox if I fail in life.
Have you not failed by being a podcast guy now and being a DJ? We've all failed by that.
That wasn't even in the back. That was like right up front.
I know. I didn't even have to have my glasses on to do that one. That was pretty good. I can't believe this. I pour tea for my drink as I'm working here because your throat gets dry.
Right. No. So Kevin, the elephant in the room. There's a lot of bad stuff happening in the world right now, mostly just in the U.S.
Oh my gosh, let's just talk about it. Let's just get right out with it. There are protests and rioting going on right now in Minnesota. And I was just looking at the internet a few minutes ago. People are walking down Figueroa Street in Los Angeles headed toward the freeway.
Yep, and I just saw on my feed police officers in Atlanta have been corralled into the CNN building because that's where CNN is, and they can't get out right now.
They're corralled into the CNN building?
They kind of just ended up there, and they can't get out right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a shame. I just think that I lost a friend on Facebook this morning. I've known this lady for a long time. Her name is Courtney.
Wow, what happened?
Well, I have made a comment on my Facebook, and I'm going to let me go to it right now because I'll repeat it on here.
Yeah, I have some interesting comments too, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, she and I don't. I'm pretty neutral about a lot of things. Right. But I made a comment. I saw a great comment. This was from somebody else, and I just copied and pasted it. Sure. I put, have some dignity when you fight for what you believe in is right. Once you start to burn innocent people's property and looting, you've lost your argument. Okay? So basically, in a nutshell, what you're saying, I'm sorry, but you can't. I realize this gentleman, George Floyd, first of all, God rest his soul. I mean, oh my gosh, this is a horrible story. A horrible story. I'm usually a fan of policemen, police people, police women, whatever the case may be. I feel for the most part that most police people are very, very good people. But of course, like with anyone else, there's a few apples out there that are bad, and that they are just bad people, and they let their authority get to them.
They take advantage of the power and authority position that they hold.
They egotistically and become narcissistically authoritative, and I don't like that. And this is what this gentleman did. They had this gentleman, George Floyd. He was handcuffed. He was charged with. He was accused of forgery. Now, forgery is not a violent crime. Not really. I don't believe it is. Forgery is like if I took your check and I signed your name and then I went and put it in my bank and spent your money. I don't know exactly what the story is about the forgery, but he was being picked up for forgery. And then he was handcuffed. He was non-combative, and he was on the ground. People were telling people, the police officers that were arresting, the one particular police officer that is now under arrest for manslaughter, third-degree murder, that he can't breathe because your full body weight is on his cardioid artery, which pleads, and he was pleading, please get off. I can't breathe. Can you just, I'm not being combative. I'll do what you say. And he just kept on and kept on and kept on, and the guy was calling for his mom. He died right there in front of everybody.
I wonder if, when did the officer, up to this point, because he's been arrested, when did it hit him? Oh, I messed up. Or did he even, up until the time he got arrested, even think of that, No one knows. And no one's obviously going to do the interview with him to find out. But that's what I wonder. And honestly, I would like to continue this discussion in the next week or two.
We are.
I want to get other people on in regards to this particular situation that's happening all over our country right now. The rioting, the protests, as a direct result of what happened to George Floyd in Minnesota. I just feel like we need to see and get more details from the whole situation, because it is still unfolding.
It is unfolding.
Every single hour it's still unfolding.
This is the third night of riots going on right now. Third night, and the whole south side of Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, has been destroyed. Yeah. It really has. And I'm sad. I agree with, anyway, this Courtney, she was taking up for the fact that she thinks that since nobody's listening to Kaepernick, who knelt for the national anthem.
Right.
She felt like that these people were being are right. She feels that these rioters, these people going around and destroying people's buildings, destroying people's businesses, destroying people's houses, she felt that this was something that needed to be done in order to prove their point.
Well, Kevin, and again, this is why we need to have this conversation with other people in a few weeks. There is some clarity to the people. There is some justification, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, from what I understand from people that are doing this. Like, it's okay for them to do this in order to get their point across. But again, I think we need to get other people involved in the conversation in order to discuss why it's justifiable that this Target and these small businesses are being destroyed in the name of justice.
Right.
Just to put in there before we move on with the show today, because we have a really exciting guest with us.
I'm very excited about our guest, by the way.
I'm super excited about this. But just to put in there, the idea is that in your generation, and this again is what I've been gathering, but again, more needs to be gathered and collected before we have this discussion fully. But in your generation, the peaceful protest was the way that they did things.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
In regards to getting things solved, nowadays in this generation, and again, this isn't my words, this is just what I've been gathering based on what has been stated by a lot of the younger people in Generation Z that are talking about it. That doesn't work anymore. It's to a new level. It's a new world now. And in order to get things like race discussed and evaluated in regards to how we deal with it in this country, this is what has to happen.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about this next week. This is just an interesting story, and I'll put together some other facts about riots that have happened in the past.
Yes,
it's Martin Luther King in 1963, August 28th. Martin Luther King said a lot of things. I will go over that because it needs to be discussed, and we'll get together on this and we'll talk more about this earlier. As I was saying, first of all, Andrew, do you hear that noise? Can you hear this?
I do hear a fan. Yes.
I'm very upset.
Why?
It's summertime, and it's been 100 degrees the last 3 days, and I have no air conditioning. None.
Oh, man.
My air conditioner went out. So I called the guy, and he goes, yeah, I'll come over and take a look at it. So he comes over, and when he gets here, he goes, do you have a ladder? I go, yeah. He goes, I don't have a ladder with me, but I need to go up and look at your air conditioner. Okay. So I have a swamp cooler on top of the roof of the home.
Oh, nice.
And then, so I give him a ladder, and then he says, okay, I know what you need. I'll call you in a few days, and we'll get you an air conditioner or whatever. So he goes to Home Depot or Lowe's and looks around, or some warehouse, and then he calls me back up and says he can get me a good deal, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, but can you go pick it up? Because I don't have a truck. And I go, you don't have a truck?
I would have called the real air conditioner guy.
Well, I said, if you're not really together with it, so he was going to charge me like $250 and then plus the air conditioner. But it was such a hassle that I called another guy, and I let this guy go, and I called another guy, and they're going to put a new Master Cool air conditioner in my home, and it's $2,800. I was like, oh my gosh,
Well,
I
as soon
can't
as you
believe
get that sponsorship going for Kevin and Andrew have a podcast,
Right.
you'll be able to afford it.
But anyway, so that noise you hear, and I hope you don't mind, but I have
That's
a
okay.
fan in here in the studio today to keep it a little bit cool. 'Cause it's not as hot today, but it's been, so if you have a little noise, please forgive me for that.
So our guest,
I'm excited. Woo, 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 woo. I'm happy to have this guy on.
we're going to have a lot of awesome guests, but this guy right here, I don't need.
He's a genius.
He's an unsung awesome guest.
He's a
People
genius.
don't even know who he is.
He's a
but after
genius.
this show, they're going to know who he is.
Oh, everybody knows who he is. This guy has like 80,000 followers now.
Does he?
I
All
think so.
because of the quarantine.
Well, because of the quarantine, this guy is a genius. This guy is a genius.
So he's got a Facebook group that he started just a few months ago, and it already has over 710,000 people in it now.
Oh, does it really? I thought it was only like 80.
that.
Oh my gosh! Well, he's here with us. He's live in Maine tonight, and he took time out of his very busy schedule to get with us, and I'm so excited because I'm a karaoke host. I do karaoke 3 or 4 nights a week. Andrew, you're a karaoke aficionado.
I've popped in a few times.
And how many videos do you have on his site now?
Okay, I've done probably 6 or 7. Because it's so awesome, and I think it's a very positive message, and it's positive messaging in a time of crisis and pandemic.
It's a very good thing. This guy's a genius. I'm telling you, this guy is a genius. He thought of it before anybody else. He figured it out. He got it on, and now he's got all these people, and I'm very impressed by this whole thing, and I'm happy to have him here. His name is Mr. Joseph Meyers. Everybody welcome Mr. Joseph Meyers from Quarantine Karaoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Joseph. How are you, buddy? Can you hear me okay?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
There he is.
That's cool, man. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. Okay, anyone who's ever been to karaoke, sometimes it's 5 people, 2 people show up for the night. If it's one of those nights that's right after like football or something, there's 100 to 200 people in the place. But you have a Facebook group where people virtually can get together to sing songs that they like, and it's massive. It's almost 1 million people.
This is a huge deal.
Anytime somebody goes into the group and they start scrolling, there's probably at least 1,000 people at any given time that are live streaming, performing. It's amazing.
You're a genius, man. Tell us all about it. Tell us all about what made you think about this. Tell us all about how you came about doing this really quickly when the quarantine began.
Sure, yeah. And I will give you the concise version here. Basically, the hits seemed to keep coming when we were quarantined. I was just kind of on my couch one night and wanted to flip my own mood around. So I went into my basement. I play the piano and I'm a singer, and I wanted to, I ended up just putting on a backing track and recording myself singing. But I went back upstairs and I felt very soothed, and it was it's always been a therapeutic thing for me. So I created the group and wanted to encourage others to just follow kind of that behavior and see what happened. And honestly, I thought there might be 5 or 10 of my friends that would join. And the second that I clicked go on the group, it just took off and went viral instantly. It was a first to market kind of thing. I had the idea and everybody just started joining, sharing it. And yeah, the group is over, it's at 720,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. When did you realize, this is bigger than I thought it was going to be?
This is huge.
When was that moment?
It was really in the first 24 hours.
Really, that quickly?
Yeah, so there were 10,000 people in the first day.
Okay.
And then on the second day, it was around 35,000. The third day, it was around 78,000, and it was just exponential growth right off the bat.
Wow.
And I realized, okay, so this is I'm going to need to treat this like a business, because there's a lot of people in here, and they're going to need to be corralled and policed to some extent also, but there needs to just be some sort of organization. So
how many moderators do you have right now?
70.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and they're
massive.
They're all over the world. They're in Germany and Japan and Australia and France, Hawaii. People just continuously come to me volunteering to help. They want to be a part of the cause and be a part of something so positive and pretty amazing. So the help seems to always be there, it makes my life easier when I can share that kind of workload, because it is a lot.
So are you still posting videos yourself, or is it just mostly just managing from day to day?
I'm still posting myself. So what happened when the group started, I posted the first video and it was just me in my basement kind of dancing like nobody's watching and doing my thing. And I was trying to post songs every few days in the beginning to continue to be the heartbeat of the group and lead by example. And as time has gone on, I've sort of have been posting less and less because it doesn't need my contributions necessarily. I still love to do it. I'm a musician. I still love doing it, and it's a passion of mine, and it'll always be fun to sing. But I have been posting less and less and focusing more on how I can improve the quality of the group and continue running it.
So basically, were you a live musician before? Because you said you played the piano. You're like me. I play the piano and the guitar. I'm a drummer in the band, several bands, and I do things like that. Were you a live musician before and then decided to do the quarantine karaoke like you just said? Or did you do karaoke before too as well and then just kind of combine the both together?
Yep. I was a musician. So I was a part of two different bands. I was the lead singer and also played the piano. One was an original band, so we wrote a lot of original music. The other was a cover band, and those guys like to go out and do karaoke at different points throughout the week in between gigs. So the whole thing is just kind of baked into my fabric, and I love all things music. I love evaluating talent. I love watching people in their element at their home and trying to provide a good space for people to feel safe, to be vulnerable, and not be torn down every step of the way. So,
have you in your state? Are your lockdown things lifted so you can kind of go places?
Not completely. Things are beginning to open up slowly.
I guess what I'm asking is, have you been able to leave your house to go places and get things and do things?
I mean, we can go to the grocery store,
okay.
but there's no, movie theaters are still down.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what I'm getting at is locally, are you recognized now as like a celebrity? Like, do people know in your hometown who you are and what you created?
People do know. Yeah. And that sort of was an odd moment for me when I went into the grocery store and people are double taking and saying, hey, you're that guy. And they've begun to notice me. I hiked a mountain the other day and I'm at the top of the mountain and somebody is saying, you're the quarantine karaoke guy. So I really, it doesn't matter where I go.
Anyone taking selfies with you?
It was probably about a week in. There was a guy that said, hey, can I take a social distancing selfie? I want to show my wife.
You're famous, man. That's it. You're famous.
You are. What about other countries? First of all, I have two questions to ask you. Are your moderators, you said it from others like Australia and other countries. Do they all speak English, or are they doing quarantine karaoke in other languages? That's one question. The other is, how is your femininity in other countries or other spaces?
Femininity, that's a new one on me.
That's the word I use.
It's fame.
Okay, so how is your fame in other countries and other places so far? Have you been recognized by other people? We obviously knew you. We're here in California, which is 3,000 miles from you in Maine. I have a lot of people in California, in this city even. We're from Apple Valley, Victorville, Hesperia, which is just east of Los Angeles, about 60 miles, who know who you are and post on your site. So I'm sure, how is that for you?
Yeah. So all the moderators do speak English. And it's a pretty diverse group too, but they all speak English and they all do a fantastic job. As far as other countries, so there are people in the group from over 100 different countries. I have those insights on the back end that I can draw from. So it's reached over 100 different countries. I don't know if they know me in different countries. I haven't gotten any any kind of notoriety or any kind of recognition from other countries.
That's amazing.
I wouldn't be able to say.
That's amazing, man.
What are some things, because I'm sure as time has gone on and you have now created a community, you have had to create some type of culture within that. So that being said, what are some things that you do on a week-to-week basis, like spotlights or things like that within the group that if people were to join, they can look forward to seeing?
Yeah, good question. So I do a daily featured video, and that is just something where I am constantly going through the group and watching videos and loving the content. It never feels like work to me. It's just a passion kind of thing. So anybody that I find, and it's not, you don't just have to be the American Idol style talent to be featured. I try to do a nice cross section, and it can just be a regular person in their living room. It can be tender moments. It can be great talent. It can be humorous videos, or it can be cute kiddos. There's a lot of different things that I try to choose from to be a daily featured video, which I pin to the top of the group. So every day you can look forward to coming to the group, seeing what the daily feature video is, and it's compelling in some way. That's the common denominator. So that's something that I like to do to shine a spotlight on different videos, because there are, like you said, there's over 4,000 posts per day of people in there going live. They can all just have their own personal concert without even leaving their room. The concept is pretty fun. So shining a light on one every day, I think, is a cool idea.
Every singer has their go-to song, just in case they end up going to a bar and it happens to be karaoke night. So, and you know what I'm talking about. You're smiling already. So,
I do.
So I must ask you, what is the top 3 go-to songs for you if the call comes in?
I like that you gave me a top 3, because usually the question is just what's your go-to.
Yeah, because if you started a karaoke group, you have more than one go-to, and that's why I'm asking you what your top 3 are.
I do. You know that I do. So I have 4 older sisters, and they're all singers also. So as soon as I was able to get into bars and do karaoke, we were going to karaoke all the time. So I've had different go-to songs. It's evolved over time. Billie Jean has always been that's always been a go-to.
Very good.
Don't by Ed Sheeran is a go-to.
Really?
I do Pretty Mean Super Bass by Nicki Minaj.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yep.
Have you done that one for the group yet?
Not yet.
Come on, man.
I know
that's the one.
That's coming. I do No Diggity. It's pretty good.
That's good.
That's in the group. Don't is in the group. I did the very first song I ever put in. If you go all the way to the beginning of the timeline, it's me doing Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, and that was
good.
That's
our theme song.
That's our theme song.
Is it?
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the theme song. You'll see when this comes out. Yeah. That's the theme song.
Okay, question for you now that we're talking about the 3 go-tos that you have. Go ahead. If you have some more to say to that. Do you have more to say to that?
No, I was gonna say it's impossible to scroll to the bottom. So if you ever did want to look at my videos, you can just type my name into the search bar, and then you can find my posts that way.
That's easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the most popular song that people sing? I mean, there's a plethora of songs. Give us the 3 most popular songs that, of course, everybody sings "I Will Survive," of course, maybe "Love Shack," something like that, I'm sure. What are the 3 most, in karaoke world, if you're a host, probably the most annoying songs that you get? But what are the 3 most popular songs that people sing, probably?
Hallelujah. Everybody does Hallelujah. Everybody does it. I've seen Somewhere Over the Rainbow quite a bit also. A lot of people do that. Dance Monkey. Do you know that song?
I do.
Is that Dance Monkey?
Yeah.
That funky monkey. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It seems like everybody does that also. So, those are the top 3, I'd say.
That's
what
amazing.
is, because this happens too, so it's the elephant in the room also, so we're just going to have to ask, there are those songs that we hear too much. I'm not saying they're bad songs. I'm just saying they're a little done too much. What songs do you see where they could almost be borderline banded in a bar as can't do these for karaoke?
Because why? Because they're done too much.
Yeah, like White Wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I honestly think that Dance Monkey would fall into that just because it's done always. I see it done a lot.
Okay.
So there are some songs, even too, sometimes I'm like, that's a good song, but everybody has done it.
Right.
So I'm probably going to stay away from that. Yeah, there's been a lot. There's a few like Demi Lovato songs. I can't think of their names, but I see them come up a lot. I wish that we saw like more Beatles songs. I see anytime I see somebody doing a Beatles song, I stop and I love hearing that because I'm a Beatles fan at heart. I know I can do any song by them. But yeah, not a whole ton of oldies, to be honest.
Okay, how about strange songs? I mean, do you have anybody who's done the most strangest song you've ever seen or heard? Like, say, for instance, Yoko Ono or something like that, since you talk about Beatles.
Yeah, the thing about karaoke a lot of times is they don't have B-list tracks, kicking around.
That's true.
Mostly, it's a lot of like mainstream kind of stuff.
That's very true, yes.
Yeah. So you don't see a ton of those, but what we do see, because this has evolved, it's not just karaoke anymore. There's a lot of elite, super talented musicians in the group they're out of gigs right now. So they've also come and lended their talent, which is phenomenal. I've seen some odd instruments come through, and there's one guy in particular. It's called a hand pan. Have you heard of the hand pan?
No, but I'm going to Google it right now.
I've never heard of it.
That sounds weird.
So it looks like a flying saucer, and it sits on his lap, and he just kind of tings it like this.
You know what it looks like? It looks like one of those circular barbecues that you grill hamburgers on.
That's exactly what it looks like. And this guy he plays the most soothing music that you could fall asleep to it nightly. He just taps it, and it's just it's an odd thing. I had never seen it before. There's also a guy, though, I don't know if you've seen The Drunken Fiddler, but he goes live. He might be live right now, and he plays an electric violin, and he's got some cool effects he can put on, and it's kind of a snazzy looking thing. So he's been pretty cool too.
Nice. Hey, I want to ask you, since you said a bunch of musicians are popping in because they're unemployed at the moment, have you had any celebrities that come to mind that have decided to join quarantine karaoke?
Not massive celebrities. We've had a lot of people that have been on like American Idol and The Voice.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that counts, I guess.
Yep. Wade Coda was in the top 5. He finished in the top 5 American Idol last year. He's in the group. He actually is going to be a featured concert next Saturday on our QK Live page. That's kind of cool.
Nice.
QK Live. I love that. You're a genius, man.
I told you, he's a genius, man. He's really a genius. I'm very honored to have you here. First of all, it's just amazing to have you here. To do this is, like Andrew said earlier, very positive about.
It's lightning in a bottle.
Really
From
is.
A marketing standpoint, it's lightning in a bottle. I mean, not to me. Let's see, how can I say this? There's supposed to be a second wave coming, later this year, which means that you may die down in the summer as people are out and about, but when that second wave hits, it's gonna be lightning in a bottle, chapter 2 for you. And it's just amazing how quick it's grown and how people have found it. Like you said, within the first 24 hours, you had like over 10,000 people that hopped on. Like that shows that you found something that worked and it makes sense to people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the simplicity of it is always, there's beauty in simplicity. It's not a convoluted or complex concept. It's come to the page, be kind to one another. Anyone is welcome to go live at any moment and go and sing and try to uplift each other, but pull together, even though we're all kind of siloed. So I think the simplicity of the idea helped. Anybody can very quickly understand it. I think the name has some stickiness to it too.
It does.
So I think that also helped. because if you get an invite for something called quarantine karaoke, you never heard the concept before. It's very self-explanatory, and it sounds fun.
So people can go live too. Do you have a lot of people in line waiting to go live? Or do they have to wait to get in their turn, or how does that work exactly?
They don't have to wait. That's the best part, is there can be 1,000 people that are live simultaneously.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what's happening, is anybody can go live at any moment. And, the way Facebook algorithms work is that if one is starting to gain a lot of traction, that video automatically ascends to the top of your feed. So if you just go to the group right now, chances are if you start scrolling, you're going to see something that has 1,200 likes and 1,000 viewers in there, and it's probably because it's a pretty cool video. So that's something too that's just kind of nice. It's a nice feature that Facebook has.
Have advertisers or big companies reached out to you since all of this has happened? Any offers for TV shows to take this to the next level?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, I'm a professional reporter. I know this stuff. Oh,
obviously if he can't tell you Andrew,
there's been some
there's interest. There's interest.
Yeah.
There's been some advertisers. A lot of local advertisers reached out, especially early on, and I rebuffed all of them, really because I didn't want to be bringing advertisements in. It felt like a cheap kind of money grab that I wasn't looking to jeopardize the integrity of the group.
Oh man, you're a better man than me already. Good for you.
That is a good thing. Yes.
Yeah. So
everybody wants to see. This is what I'm talking about.
I've been resistant to do.
I'm sorry. This is what I was talking about before with Andrew. You do something good, and everybody wants to stick their hand into it. Everybody wants to get their hand in it and take a piece of it. So good for you that you have not let that happen yet.
I'm proud of you, Joe. I would have sold out in a heartbeat.
I didn't. That was my main thing, is I didn't want to sell out, and I didn't want people looking at me like, oh, this guy created this thing and he sold out in 4 days because there's 100,000 people in here all of a sudden, and I wouldn't be able to probably look myself in the mirror if that was the case. So I took the moral high ground there, and I've been resistant to doing it.
See, I admire you again. You say you couldn't look yourself in the mirror. I would just remove the mirrors in my house if that was the case. Again, I applaud you.
And trust me, Joe, that's a lot of mirrors. Andrew is very vain about a lot of things, and that's a lot of mirrors. Matter of fact, it's really pretty much a glass house, if you know what I mean.
It's basically. So, man, incredible. It's just so fascinating, and I can't. Obviously, there's things that he can't talk to us about, which goes into. I can't wait to see what the next chapter for you in quarantine karaoke is. It's exciting. It really is exciting.
I do have one more question for you, Joseph. Have you had people copycatting your site? Like, have there been other quarantine karaoke or quarantine karaoke wannabe sites that are kind of copy you and kind of do the same idea that you have, or are you pretty much the one that's the one out? I mean, you obviously are the original, so how is it with people trying to copy what you do?
It's
I'm losing you a little bit here.
Okay.
I'll ask him.
Okay.
Copycats. Is there anyone out there that you've seen that is doing what you're doing?
We're having a little trouble because he's all the way in Maine.
Pretty far.
Oh, we lost him, I think.
Are you there, Joe?
It looks like we lost him.
Let's see.
He went away.
Well,
there he is.
He moved.
Are you back with us there?
I am. You guys are cutting in and out, unfortunately. I think I caught the question though. Copycats, right?
Yes.
There are tons, hundreds now at this point.
Wow.
So and a lot, some have been in the group and have kind of come and picked my brain about what I did and how I did it, and then went and created a spin-off group, and things like that have happened. But yeah, there's been a lot of copycat groups. They've been sort of specific to different regions, but some of them are 18 plus or uncensored or like just different things that they want their culture to be. And that's fine. I don't have any right to tell anybody they can't do it. So they can do it. And I wish them the best of luck, certainly.
Right, but we all know the deals are calling you, so it doesn't really matter
that's
what
right.
they do.
You're the genius. You're the creator. You're the one who had the idea first, and that's what really counts most of all.
Is there a website, or is it just all a Facebook group right now? Like, how do people get more information on what you're doing with Quarantine Karaoke? Is it just strictly the Facebook group?
Sure. So there is a website. It's quarantinekaraoke.net. We're in the process of building out the YouTube channel and Twitter page. We are.
You mean to tell me somebody bought .com before you?
They did.
Dang it!
I know.
Dang it!
They bought it like, I don't know, a day or two before me, and then and did not want to sell.
Hey man, don't feel bad. Lesson learned. When I was just starting out, before viral was a thing, there was a little known site called Stickum.com, and I was doing like live videos and stuff. Now it's like a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live, but back in like 2010. Viral and that whole idea wasn't a thing. So I just knew I'd get like 45,000 views at a time, and I was really cool back then. And there was no money or anything like that. But my point is, when I started to become a name on the internet with my little old show RIP ACTV, rest in peace because it's dead. Anyways, somebody bought my name domain, andrewcaravella.com. And over the years, in the beginning, I tried to negotiate and buy it from them, and they refused to have any conversation with me at all. It was almost like they were waiting for my big moment, which I haven't gotten a movie deal yet, so it hasn't happened, before they come forward to offer it back to me.
Yeah, lesson learned. Like you said, lesson learned. I mean, and I know, and it's all right. I think quarantinekaraoke.net is fine. And, I think the brand is going to survive, and it's going to be all right.
I think you're going to be okay too. And I love what you're doing, and I can't wait to see how much more it grows, because I honestly think the pandemic is literally just the beginning of what you got going on here.
And with 170,000 followers, you can't really go wrong either. I mean, weather.net, you can push it here too, as a matter of fact.
Kevin, he has over 720,000.
Oh, 720,000. Still a great number of people. Let's just put it that way. That's close to 1 million people, a quarter of a million people.
There's some cities that don't even have that many people.
Right. I mean, that's a fantastic following. I mean, you can't go wrong. You haven't gone wrong, and just to have a .net be no big deal. I mean, people are going to go to Facebook right away. People know that on Facebook, and I'm sure you have all the links and everything to get to your website there. So, I mean, gosh, it's just a genius thing that you've done here, and it's a positive thing, like I said earlier, as Andrew said too. It's so positive, and it's so nice to be able to. I mean, you're keeping some people from going insane. People who love music, people who are who follow music, people who are nothing without music. You're doing a thing by keeping that in their lives.
And I'm happy that we got you on the end of May here, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And for someone who has been in the industry, I know a lot of crazy people. I worked in mental health to pay the bills when I was a struggling actor. And I know firsthand that the therapeutic aspect of doing karaoke or just singing, it's kind of like dancing when no one's looking. Same idea with singing. You don't do karaoke as a person for other people. You do it for yourself to feel good. That's the purpose of karaoke. And the fact that you're doing that, and you have the ability to allow 720,000 and rising, plus people have the ability to feel good about themselves. Oh my God, good for you.
It is. And you hit the nail on the head as far as it being therapeutic. I've gotten so many messages from people saying that this is keeping them sane. Like, they don't have their typical support structure, and this is something they look forward to every day. And if it was taken away, then it's something that they would feel a void, and it would be something that they would truly miss. And people are saying they're on here for 8 and 10 hours a day, some people, because they just love you never know what's coming when you're scrolling. You literally have no idea what's coming next. And that is an addicting thing to get to be a part of. But also, when you go live, there's an adrenaline rush that people are also not ready for sometimes. And they all come back and they're like, this is a great idea. And now I just want to go live all the time because there's people commenting.
Plus that number counter is there, right? So you start with like 10 people, 20 people, and then boom, it's like 653 people are watching you. And it's like, oh my gosh, what song do I do next?
It's like
and
being
the comments
live.
the comments are flowing in. You can interact with people in real time. It's pretty fun.
So tell me something. When all of this pandemic is over, Joe, do you think that the quarantine karaoke will still continue to go on? I mean, you don't think it'll falter in any way? In my personal opinion, as I said, this is a great thing. I don't think it will. How is your feeling about that when the quarantine is completely over and say life gets back to normal? I know that's not going to happen in the near future. We might have a second wave, as Andrew was talking about earlier. But how in the future do you feel quarantine karaoke will be when things resume back to being normal? People can get out to the clubs and bars again and the concerts and see actual live entertainment as opposed to being on the internet to see it.
Sure. I've thought about it a lot. I think that the group will continue to live on. I have no plans of taking it down or changing the name or anything else. And I get that question kind of a lot. So the group will continue. The thing that I have anticipated happening is it evolving a little bit. I think that people are going to now be out at bars and they're going to be going live watching their friend singing actual karaoke.
Yes.
And now the group is going to begin to have a lot of people that are live in bars, and they're going to be filming their friends singing, and it's going to be a little bit of a different aspect at that point.
That's great.
If you ever becomes a national tour where you have to go city to city and do live appearances, I just ask that you possibly consider me as the MC for those events. That's all I'm asking for, because I'm excited about this. I do MC work. I am giving you my resume right now. I think it would just be an amazing thing to see this like on the road and be done from city to city in person. I think it would be great.
You know, that would be kind of cool if you took like maybe the top 15 or 20 people that you thought were the best in your quarantine karaoke and was able to arrange some kind of a tour to those people could perform live and somewhere at the fairs and things.
You know, like rock bands, when they have the drum sets and the behind the plastic things, you just use that for people when they're singing. They could sing behind the plastic guard things, and it's still quarantine karaoke. It's like quarantine karaoke in concert.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people that I would choose, so this is an idea that I've had previously. People that I would choose are typically people that are musicians that are already performers. So it's not going to be like they're getting stage fright or they've never done this before.
Right. There's
a lot of seasoned musicians that are in the group. And, you know, they make it hard to choose who I'm going to feature from week to week or, you know, things like that. There's so many good people. So I think a tour would be awesome.
That would be a fantastic idea to do that and pick 15 or 20 people and just put on a really good show I mean, this is something that's needed. You would get thousands of people to show up for this thing, I think.
And I mean, this is promoters that are listening to this that may consider doing that and reaching out to Joe. Just know I'm open to do the MC for that.
As you can tell, Andrew still has a lot of mirrors in his home.
Yeah.
So,
plus, it gets me out of the house. I mean.
Well, Joseph, we know you're a busy man, but we certainly appreciate you taking your hard-earned time to spend time with us this evening.
Yeah. Are we like one of the first like official interviews that have been done on you? Please tell me yes.
No, you're not. You're not even close to the first one. But
who's the biggest? Who's the biggest?
NBC Boston reached out.
That's not big. That's not big. It's Boston. It's not big.
Yeah, and the Boston Globe also reached out.
Okay, well then. And you know, Boston Globe, and Kevin and Andrew have a podcast, NBC Boston.
Any West Coast interviews like Los Angeles, etc. Las Vegas?
Nothing in California.
So there it is.
There it is. Woo! Yeah.
We are the first. Take that, NBCLA.
Yeah. Yeah, we're up on them. It's exclusive right now with Joseph Meyers.
Exclusive. West Coast exclusive.
That's right.
West Coast and all the Western and anyone in the Midwest?
No, I think so. Nebraska, Colorado. I've been on.
So we can't say we're the only ones west of the Mississippi. Okay.
What about the South? Houston,
We're
Dallas?
west of the Colorado River. There it is.
Yep, Dallas, Florida had one. Tennessee. It's been everywhere.
Hello, this is
in
the BBC
California.
London. We'd like to have an interview with you in London. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I feel good. We're the first on the West Coast. That's just amazing.
What
to
about
me.
podcast? We got to be the first podcast, right? Say yes. Just say yes. Yeah.
Do you want me to say yes, or do you want me to be honest?
I want to know who beat us to the punch.
Who beat us to the punch?
There were a couple guys in Arizona. That was a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's Arizona. They aren't as good as us.
Yeah, no one cares. It's too hot there.
There was one called the Holy Gambler, and that was in New England. There's been a few podcasts actually.
Well, this is the best one. Let me tell you.
This is the funnest one because we do karaoke. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are gonna do karaoke right now?
Sure, Andrew,
don't
sing a
know.
song for the man.
Oh, I didn't warm up. Hold on. I don't have water.
You gonna sing an acapella?
I don't have music. You have to do
Next
with
time.
music,
Next time.
right? Next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Well, maybe you'll come back and have another interview with us, Joseph. We'd like to have you back on again. You're a great guy.
I would be happy to come back. You guys tell me when and where, and I'll be there.
And
All right.
And I know it was a struggle to get to you because you're a very busy man. Very busy man. And
I'm busy. I was recording an announcement actually right before you guys called that I'm going to be posting. There's new things that are happening. So I was doing that, and I have quite a few things to take care of tonight too before I go to bed. It's 11:30 here, and my night's just beginning.
So go ahead and give us your information about Facebook. Give us your website again. Give us all the information you can so people who are following us can go follow you and be a part of what this positive thing is about in regards to karaoke. Right.
Have to be a part
The
of the
karaoke movement.
Yep, and if you go to Facebook and you type in quarantine karaoke, it will be the top one. You'll see there's 720,000 people in there. The website is quarantinekaraoke.net. We have T-shirts. I don't know if you guys have seen these.
My gosh.
I have, and I want one.
I got to have one of those too.
I don't know if that silhouette looks familiar, but it should.
Yeah.
That's me on the T-shirt.
See? He's got a little vanity in
Stand
him.
up there and
I
take a
love
look.
it.
Put it back up there and let's take a look at it again.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
you.
yeah. See?
Yeah.
That's amazing. How'd you pick those colors? Why those colors?
I'm a Denver Broncos fan, so I was looking blue and orange.
That's okay. I won't hold that against you.
Yeah, please don't. There's been nothing to cheer about for years.
Hey, I'm a Dolphins fan, so I'm in a worse place than you are.
Good. Yeah, look at that. I did not want myself to be in the logo. My wife was banging the drum for it, so that's what happened there.
So she's the vanity then. Got it.
Well, but you should be. I mean, this is a genius. I'm sorry, I have to say it again. Genius, just genius that you did this. And when did you start this exactly? When did you begin this?
March 18th.
March 18th. See?
Yeah.
So I've been out of work since March 15th. So 3 days later, we see karaoke going on there. And I have a song on there that I posted too. Andrew's got like 15 or 20 probably by now. He sings all the time. He's very... he likes to sing the karaoke. He likes to sing
Okay,
it.
so here's the thing. I was a professional recording artist. I was signed to Universal at one point for distribution and stuff. I actually go into the karaoke not as a know-it-all. Like I try to make it look like it's almost like my first, second, maybe third time, because I know I'm good, but like I don't want people to think that, oh, it's just all professionals in here. So I try to make it look as amateur as possible, but still come off good to encourage other, because I have been in those situations where I've blown people out of the water, not to toot my own horn. And then I know what that makes people feel like, because I've been in the room where people are way better than I am, and I'm just like, well, dang, I don't want to sing now. I'm good, but I'm not that good, and then I feel bad. So I can only imagine what it feels like to people that have even lesser confidence, and I don't want to do that at all. So hopefully none of those people listen to this and realize I'm a really good singer. But I mean, that is my reasoning. I want to be just good enough to encourage other people to get on there and do it for themselves.
See, but here's the thing. This is what Joseph had in mind, I believe. He just wanted to have people sing that to get something, you know, to get it off their minds, to have fun with. He doesn't want them to worry about how good of a singer they are, how bad of a singer they are. He just wanted to have people on, to have fun, to release tension, because the quarantine had everybody scared. It's, you know, people are still scared, of course. And this is something to get your mind off of the stress of what's going on in the world right now.
Has it gotten political at all in there? I mean, I'm sure it has with so many people, but I'm sure it might be down to a minimum because of the type of environment it is.
I mean, so one of the rules is no politics.
Oh, okay, there it is. Perfect.
And so the first sign of it, those posts always get pulled down because it's so
bad right now.
You know, it's very polarizing no matter what. So it's just going to be a recipe for trouble, and we avoid it at all costs.
Good.
Well, you're a very smart man, and we certainly appreciate you coming out to see us here at the Kevin and Andrew podcast show.
And being the first West Coast interview of your movement.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
We appreciate it.
Come back anytime.
Genius.
Thanks, man. We'll see you in the group.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Joe.
Night.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good night. Thank you. Well, there you go, Andrew.
That was awesome, right? Tell me he's not an amazing guy.
Can I not get great guests or what?
That was good.
That was awesome.
I don't know what your second guess is going to be.
I don't know. I don't know if I can top that or not. We'll figure out something. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Quarantine karaoke. If you guys haven't joined, you don't have to join to be a singer. Like, you don't have to sing in there. Just join it to look at the fun that people are having in there. It's just people being people. There's no strings attached. It's awesome.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was a super nice guy. Very modest, very smart.
Modest. Mm-hmm.
Very smart man. I like him.
I forgot to ask him if he eats lobsters.
I'm sure he does. He lives in Maine. Come on.
I know, but I needed to ask him that. Here's why. I have only met one person from Maine, and he was my former music engineer who's worked with like the Jonas Brothers and like Miley Cyrus and a bunch of other people. He actually did the mix on my last album, which came out like 5 years ago. He's from Maine, and he is the only person I've ever met in my entire life from Maine. And I have asked him, so that's my thing now. Anyone I ever see from Maine, I have to ask him because it's so rare for me to meet somebody from Maine. Do you eat lobsters? That's just my thing.
Have you been back east at all?
A couple times.
I went back to Boston 3 or 4 years ago. My friend Ron Moat lives there. I grew up with him in New Mexico, and he's now a nurse in near Boston, in Drake, Massachusetts, and around Lowell, Massachusetts. And he took me to Boston, and we had lobster and all sorts of stuff. That was really cool.
But that's not Maine.
No, but it's close.
Were the lobsters from Maine? Because apparently they have the best lobsters.
Well, I don't know, but the lobster was really good there. The seafood is really good there. I mean, it's
well, the
really
next time you go to see your male nurse friend, you should ask the waiter, "Excuse me, are these lobsters from Maine?"
So Maine lobster is supposed to be the best because, you know, I've been to Seattle, and the fish is really good there, and the lobsters are really good there too.
Oh, I hear that. Maine lobster, there's nothing like it.
I wonder what the difference is.
Maybe they're more organic in Maine. I don't know.
Okay.
But you know what I do know, Kevin? We're the first West Coast interview for Quarantine Karaoke.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, we're glad to have Joseph Meyer on there. And be sure to go check out Quarantine Karaoke if you're a singer of that type, and get on there and sing a song or two. I'm sure he'd love to have you. 710,000. 720,000. I'll get it right one of these days. It goes
and
up every
he started it in March.
And this is
March 18th.
So basically 10 weeks.
April, May,
10 weeks. And 720,000 viewers, followers,
God,
singers.
Man, let me tell you something, okay? Because this is the kind of guy I am. I would have asked by this point for everyone to donate just $1.
That's true. And they probably would have too. They probably would have.
And I could have disappeared for like 5 years. Do you know what I'm saying?
But what a stand-up guy he was. It's about the integrity. You know, how can you
I mean, I could have bought a brand new car in cash.
Well, you just don't have the integrity this guy does. This guy's very, very moralistically, and
I could have created integrity out of $1 donation from people. Okay.
$2. $2 and then double your integrity, right?
Oh, yeah. They say money can't buy you happiness. Well, you know what? Newsflash. Money can buy you happiness, even if it's artificial happiness. Do you understand?
That's so true. It would make me happy to have some money and be able to buy things. I mean, it's all good, though. I mean, you got to admit you're happy at the things you do.
I am. Happy. No, I'm really blessed. I have a lot. Sometimes I overplay the AC persona. People that have been following me for years know that. They get a good kick out of it. It's pretty funny. And people that have never met me probably think I am the biggest ass on the face of the planet.
Well, you know what? I invented a new word tonight, so that's good.
Yeah.
Femininity. That's a new word. I do that once in a while. You know, I kind of ramble on a little bit. And because, you know, these podcasts are not scripted by any chance, by any means. So
no, I'm not. This time around, I'm not reading a teleprompter.
If I invent words, well, so be it. Maybe they'll be in the English dictionary someday. And infeminity.
Bootylicious is in Webster.
I know.
So
Infaminity should be in there. And it was created by Kevin O'Neill from Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast.
Formerly Chris Monroe.
In 2020, during the quarantine of 2020.
Yeah, Kevin O'Neill, formerly Chris Monroe.
The Charlie's Angel.
Oh, man. Were we on time? We still got time?
I don't know. You have something else you want to talk about before we go?
Oh, yeah, man. Let's talk about some good news, because there's none really that you see on the news.
Let's talk about it.
A 7-year-old hosted an adorable mini prom for his babysitter whose event was canceled.
Wow. Really? 7 years old?
That's cute. Here's one. A feisty 103-year-old grandma celebrated COVID recovery, 103, by drinking an ice-cold Bud Light.
I saw that. 103 years old, and she survived coronavirus. I saw that. She drank Bud Light, and she says, "Oh, that was good. It's so cold. It tastes so good." I mean, how cool is that to be 103 and survive this thing? And I've heard several stories of people over 100 surviving this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you do hear about it. Here's another good story. A German IKEA lends their parking lot to a local mosque so 800 Muslims could celebrate the end of Ramadan together.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It is amazing that anything is coming in. I mean, there are people out there making the best of this whole bad situation right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's great that people are doing it. Of course, I keep seeing the bad posts about, coronavirus is not affecting the protesters and all that. It just passes those guys up, etc. And I don't know. I just feel like that's not the case. I feel like that we should be talking about some happier things right now.
Yep. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. And, there is positive news out there. You just have to know where to look for it. And hey, listen, if you don't use technology the best way, I believe the term that some of my friends have come up with is called tech-tarded. I believe tech-tarded, meaning you don't know how to actually use tech,
right.
Or tech illiterate rather. I know.
Oh, here we go. Somebody's going to call us up. You said tech-tarded.
It's not even a real word.
I know. Another word we've just invented. Tech-tarded.
There it is, right there. There is this really, really amazing thing that you can do on your Facebook page. Follow me here. If you get your phone, okay, go to your Facebook page, and let's say you're scrolling and you come across somebody that you don't really care for all that much because, they're racist or they're, blaming the coronavirus on, the Democrats.
Well, here's another happy story for you.
Or they love Trump too much, whatever. There's 3 dots on the corner of their post. You'll see those 3 dots. If you click on it, there's this amazing thing that says snooze on so-and-so for 30 days.
Right.
If they're your friend and you love them, you just don't love them for the next 30 days and you feel like you can do without them, just highlight that.
Well, that's like this friend Courtney of mine today. I've known her for, 15, 16 years, maybe 20 years. And
that's a long time to know somebody.
And for her she befriended me or defriended me from Facebook because my view about this whole riot thing going on, destroying places, She felt that it wasn't. I was being privileged. I'm privileged because I'm white, and I've never had to go through being black and having police brutality because I'm not black. That's not. That's just not the case. I'm sorry, but I don't think that matters whether you're white or black. I'm not saying that blacks aren't picked on by white policemen, but none of this would have ever happened.
Let me ask you, did Courtney at any given time ever carry on a conversation with you about this, or was this just like
yes, it's on my Facebook. It's on. Well, we've never had the conversation, in person. I've known her for years, and she moved away. She lives down the hill somewhere in Orange County or south in the Southland, and we've always been friends. And she got married and had kids, and I've known her for a long time. But for her to come back and tell me that I'm a privileged white person. I mean, how is that so? I mean, to be privileged at any color, in any race, you have to work for those privileges. You just don't get handed those privileges just because you're white.
Well, I think the idea is that if you, and again, I'm speculating here. I am not going to put a feeling towards this, but I do believe, based on what you were saying, that the idea is that in this country specifically, because I'm not really familiar with other countries, the idea is that if you are white, things tend to be a little easier for you overall than if you are somebody that is black.
See, but that's what you just said, the nail on the head right there, the idea. It's the idea. It's not exactly what's happening with everybody. People have an idea in their head, and they run with that, and to them, that's a fact. And that's just not the case.
Oh, well, don't get me wrong. If I have to pull from personal experience, I have plenty of black friends that everything that they've done has just come to them easy, like things happen to them. Now, maybe that's just because they were in the right place at the right time. Maybe that's because they were actually very smart and applied themselves. Maybe it's just because that they came from money. I don't know. I can't sit there and really, put a label on it. All I know is that in my life, I have friends that are black that have achieved greatness, and they have done it very gracefully, and they worked really hard at it.
Exactly.
And I'm happy for them. Now, I'm sure, I don't know the whole story, though. I don't know what kind of struggle they had, if they had a struggle. And if it was something that I sat down and asked them one-on-one, I'm sure I would hear otherwise. Now, on the flip side of that, though, I do have friends that are black that are in like public office, and actually one of them specifically, I wasn't a part of their race, the race to get into office, but I was, as their friend, kind of like always checking in to see how it was going. And I do know for a fact that they did have some struggles to get to the top because of people's personal bias towards not just the black person, but they were a woman, or they are a woman, so a woman of color. And even in the position, they have to deal with the public, and some of the nasty things that the public says to them, they're pulling from the fact that they are a female and the fact that they are black. And I do know that those are things that they have to go through.
So basically, you're saying that's a double whammy. I get that, the female and being black. But here's the thing, you said it earlier. The people that made it, they worked hard, and you don't know if they struggled or not. Obviously, yes, they struggled, because when you're working for something, you're struggling to get there.
I don't know the type of struggle.
Okay,
I don't know if things happen to them in their climb to the top that was they had to work harder as a direct result of their race. I don't know.
Maybe so, but here's the thing. These people who got to the top of their job or their life or got a house or whatever, they struggled. They worked hard for this. They figured out a way to do it. They resolved the issues to get there, and they got where they wanted. That is the problem with so many of the things that are going on right now. Education is important. You need to go to school. You need to get an education. You need to learn how to not... A lot of these people that are doing this rioting thing right now and doing things that they don't have any... I'm sorry, but I don't feel they have any education. They're going out...
Okay, wait, hold on. Before you go on, let's just be clear that it's not just black people, though.
Of course
that
not.
are rioting. If you look
everybody.
At the news, it's everybody.
It's everybody
in those particular cities.
It's not anybody of this. This education has nothing to do with race. It has to do with the fact of your smarts. Martin Luther King said, and I quote, it's a very popular line: You judge people by the content of their character. Now, the content of their character is education. If you want your character to be moralistically better, you want to grow smarter, you want to get educated, and you want to do the right thing and learn from people's mistakes and don't do the same thing. In 1963, that speech began, and we've had tons of riots of people doing the same thing, which he also said in his speech that you don't want to protest by having violent conflicts. You want to do it by the soul. So
I totally hear what you're saying, but like we were saying at the beginning of the podcast, the new generation doesn't necessarily believe at least some of the stuff that has been set out there. And again,
they may not believe it because I don't believe they've been educated about it. If they would go back and listen, they're protesting these rights, and they think they know everything, but they're not educated about it. Yes, this man who died, it was horrible. It was terrible. I disagree, and we're going to have more. We've talked about this earlier today before the show that we're going to have some sides next week. We're going to have a proper discussion. We're going to have a proper discussion about it. We're going to try to do that next week. Both sides. This guy got third-degree manslaughter today. I understand maybe it wasn't premeditated in order to get a first-degree murder charge. Okay. And our second-degree murder charge even, but it's a manslaughter thing. Now, to me, I saw the video. I'm sure you saw the video. Who hasn't seen the video by now? If you haven't seen the video,
I had to turn away from the video.
If you haven't seen the video by now, you're under a rock somewhere and you don't know what's going on at all. People see this, and it's very clear that this officer was looking straight at the camera. He had his knee in the artery of the gentleman's neck. The guy was pleading and crying to death for his mom. He was willing to go. He was already, before he was even on the ground, they had him in handcuffs and he was willing to go. Why didn't they just put him in the car and take him to jail for forgery? Why did they not do that? We're seeing a piece of the video that's not there between one area and the time he was on the ground.
I mentioned that in a private Facebook Live that I did for close friends. I mentioned there's other ways to not use lethal force. There's this new device that's literally been like a prototype for like 4 or 5 years now, where it's literally out of like a crime fighter show where it's a gun that you shoot at the person, and it releases a net that wraps around their legs and their arms, so they're tied up and then they fall to the ground because they can't move and stuff.
That's all fine and dandy.
That's non-lethal. There's also tasers or stun guns.
That's all fine and dandy, but here's the thing. We discussed this last week on our podcast. Remember the gentleman who was driving the car 100 miles an hour through the streets, and he lost the wheel, and he was driving on the axle? Now, if that guy had gotten out and started shooting at people or started doing the thing, how much lethal artillery should they have used on this guy?
Oh, well, no. In that case,
he's got a 2-ton vehicle. He's got a 2-ton vehicle going through the streets. He could have killed anybody in many situations. Situations. So where is the barrier that you have when somebody, people talk to police officers? Police officers have a side too. People talk to these police officers in such bad ways. They don't show any respect. And most of these police officers deserve respect. Firemen deserve respect. Healthcare workers deserve respect. These people deserve to be respected. They are, if something happens at your party, who's the first people you call?
No, it's usually the police.
Exactly.
Usually.
But if you don't respect them, why should they come take care of your problems that you're having with other people who don't respect you?
So I think the idea, from what I've been gathering online, is that peace this whole time is not producing results, because there was a similar situation that happened, I believe, with another individual that was black about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's like deja vu all over again. The only difference this time is the protests and the violence is more stronger and more intense this time.
I disagree with that, because Rodney King, this happened the same thing with Rodney King. This is exactly the same thing that happened with Rodney King. They destroyed Los Angeles because of Rodney King and what happened.
Yeah, but in that case, wasn't it the police that wasn't really acknowledging, we done messed up, right? if I remember correctly.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it and see. But the thing is that this is the same thing. There's been several, this Muhammad guy or Ahmad or whatever his name. I caught the story partly, but these things go on all the time, and they handled it the same way. You cannot go and jeopardize people. You can't go and people are innocent. These people. There are people of color, people of Asian descent, people that are white in this area that has been destroyed by these protesters. This is not just a black thing.
You're absolutely right. I actually watched on CBS a black man, small business owner, black family rather, who completely lost their business.
Right, and they are innocent. They're innocent people. Yeah. Why should they be punished for what's going on with a police officer who killed a black man? These people who own these stores. There's a Target there. There was a whole big, I don't know what the 3 or 4 story building was. People were gathering around and with throwing wood and pallets and stuff on this.
That was the police station.
Yeah, well, there's no reason to destroy the police station.
Well, and again, this is why next week we should have a proper discussion with opposing sides.
I'm getting mad now.
No, it's okay. That we're doing a podcast, but I really do believe that having different points of view from opposing sides in regards to this would be done more properly with more people involved. So
I agree.
We're going to do that next week. And it should be very interesting. So stay tuned.
It will be very interesting. We had a great show tonight. I'm so happy Joe Meyers showed up with Quarantine Karaoke.
Quarantine Karaoke, first podcast and interview on the West Coast.
He didn't say it was on the West Coast, but he's done other podcasts
for Quarantine Karaoke. And by West Coast, I mean California, not Arizona.
I mean, we should have jumped on this before, but look how big it is now. 720,000 followers.
And look how big we are.
Yeah, we got 707 followers. We're pretty good.
No, these are going to get better as we go on. I was really excited to get Joe on the show.
I am too, and I think that was a great thing. And of course, he wants to come back on, which is also a good thing. He liked this, and that was good. So we're excited.
I'm just hoping we did enough of a good thing with him to get some free shirts out of him.
And you need to have a song prepared next time.
I do.
You weren't prepared.
I need to have a song prepared. I think I'm going to do that.
Sing that one of those Jonas Brothers songs that you do.
Oh yeah, huh?
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah, I think.
Did I do Jealous? I haven't done Jealous yet for the group. Maybe I'll do it tonight.
I think you should do it.
Yeah.
But I think you should be prepared because he's going to ask. It would have been cool if you'd have done that tonight. That would have been cool.
But the show's not about me.
I know, it's about him.
It was about him. I'm just color, as we say.
I'm glad he came on.
I just add the color to the show.
So I guess we should wrap this up. We've had a good time tonight, and it's our typical Friday, woot woot, Friday, woot woot night. This is our episode 5. We are into the second month.
Yeah.
Of our podcast.
Email us if you want to be a guest, or you have comments, questions, concerns, or you just have to just let me have it because you are angry with Andrew Caravella. It is KOAC Podcast. KOAC Podcast at gmail.com.
Right. We haven't talked about our email. We'd like for you to tell us if you are interested, or if you know someone who's interested in being a guest on here and they have something interesting to talk about, or maybe they have a point of view they want to talk about. Maybe they have a vendetta against Andrew and they want to talk about that.
That's right.
What can we say? I mean, email us, KOACpodcast at gmail.com.
You can also find us on Facebook. Facebook.com/TheBestPodcastEver.
That's right.
If you type that in on your desktop, we will pop up.
And we are all over YouTube as well.
Kevin and Andrew have a podcast. It's not hard. Not rocket science. You just type in Kevin and Andrew have a podcast, subscribe, and check us out.
Right. You can listen to us on your internet. You can listen to us on your phone. You can watch us on television if you want to see all the great backgrounds we have here and all the people that are on. You want to see what they look like and who they are.
For podcasts, you can do Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
we are
Spreaker,
all over the place.
So forth.
All over the place. Andrew, have you had a good Friday?
I've had a great Friday, and I didn't even have a drink yet.
Yeah, you going to have one later on?
right after we get off the air.
Because you're celebrating the fact that Joe was on here for the podcast, aren't
I'm
you?
celebrating the fact that we are the first West Coast people to interview Quarantine Karaoke. That's what I'm celebrating.
That is
tonight.
amazing. That's very
it is.
amazing indeed. I'm
Awesome.
excited about it. So we're out of here. KOACpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube. And we'll get back with you very soon. Andrew?
Later.
Have a good night, everybody. Take care. God bless you. See ya.